I am Juror Evans Ufeli, and I have a question for you. When truth is inconvenient, who dares to speak it anyway? Welcome to the Middlemen of Jurors on Enterprise TV. This is where bold voices meet uncomfortable truths. We don't just scratch the surface, we dig deep, dissect the issues, and confront the powers that shape our daily lives. Today, we bring you powerful cases, sharp perspectives, and verdicts that challenge the norm. I am joined by three wonderful jurors who have come with thought-provoking cases. Juror Olajumoke James is here to remind us that building a better Nigeria begins with the choice of every citizen to be better in a case titled A Better Nigeria. Juror Emeka Madunagu's case titled CBN Time to Cut Interest Rates highlights how the CBN refusal to lower interest rates is choking Nigerian businesses, thereby deepening economic hardship. Juror Henry highlights the widening disconnection between Nigerian senators and the people they represent in a case titled Nigerian Senators and the Alarming Absence of Empathy. And I, Juror Evans Ufeli, will be presenting a case titled The Sins in the 2025 Budget, which exposes how the 2025 national budget has been hijacked for political patronage and therefore calls for urgent reform. All these conversations and more will begin after this quick break. Please stay with us. I am Juror Evans Ufeli, and I have a question for you. When truth is inconvenient, who dares to speak it anyway? Welcome to the Middlemen of Jurors on Enterprise TV. This is where bold voices meet uncomfortable truths. We don't just scratch the surface, we dig deep, dissect the issues, and confront the powers that shape our daily lives. Today, we bring you powerful cases, sharp perspectives, and verdicts that challenge the norm. I am joined by three wonderful jurors who have come with thought-provoking cases. Juror Olajumoke James is here to remind us that building a better Nigeria begins with the choice of every citizen to be better in a case titled A Better Nigeria. Juror Emeka Madunagu's case titled CBN Time to Cut Interest Rates highlights how the CBN refusal to lower interest rates is choking Nigerian businesses, thereby deepening economic hardship. Juror Henry highlights the widening disconnection between Nigerian senators and the people they represent in a case titled Nigerian Senators and the Alarming Absence of Empathy. And I, Juror Evans Ufeli, will be presenting a case titled The Sins in the 2025 Budget, which exposes how the 2025 national budget has been hijacked for political patronage and therefore calls for urgent reform. All these conversations and more will begin after this quick break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying tuned. My case, The Sins in the 2025 Budget. The National Assembly has inserted 11,122 projects valued at 6.93 trillion into the 2025 Nigerian government budget. You heard that right. Budget, a leading civic technology organization advocating for transparency and accountability in Nigeria's public finance report, revealed that what started as occasional irregularities in the budget has become a deep-rooted system of exploitation, with the National Assembly using the budget process to advance political interests rather than national development. The budget's analysis showed that 238 projects valued at above 5 billion and totaling 2.29 trillion were inserted with little or no justification. Furthermore, 984 projects worth 1.71 trillion and 1,119 projects valued between 500 million and 1 billion, amounting to 641 billion, 38 million, were indiscriminately added, sparking concern about their relevance and alignment with the country's priorities. The insertion of over 11,000 projects worth 6.93 trillion into the 2025 budget by the National Assembly is not just alarming, it is an assault on fiscal responsibility. The trend, increasingly normalized, undermines the purpose of national budgeting, distorts development priority, and redirects scarce resources into the hands of political elites. Nigeria cannot afford to run a government of project without purpose. We urgently need transparency, constitutional clarity, and a return to evidence-based planning that puts citizens, not politics, at the center of budgets. The report highlights that 3,573 projects worth 653.19 billion naira were directly assigned to federal constituency, while 1,972 projects valued at 444.04 billion were allocated to senatorial districts. Significant anomalies include 104.77 streetlights projects worth 393.29 billion, 538 boreholes totaling 114.53 billion, 2,122 ICT projects valued at 505.7 billion and 6.74 billion earmarked for empowerment of traditional rulers. Budget also noted that 39% of all inserted projects, 4,371 projects, worth 1.72 trillion, were forced into the Ministry of Agriculture's budget, inflating its capital allocation to 242.5 billion to 1.95 trillion. The Ministry of Science and Technology and Budget and Economic Planning also received bloated allocation of 994.98 billion and 1.1 trillion respectively. The misuse of agencies such as the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute and the Federal Cooperative College of Jurors was also emphasized. These institutions were burdened with projects unrelated to their mandate, leading to inefficiency and waste. For instance, the Federal Cooperative College was assigned 3 billion naira for utility vehicles, 1.5 billion naira for rural electrification in Rivers State, and 1 billion naira for solar lighting in Enugu State. Despite budget's formal letter to the presidency, budget office, and National Assembly under the budget is a mess campaign, no institution has taken responsibility or responded to the findings. The silence from the presidency remains particularly concerning. My verdict: I hereby urge President Bola Tinubu to exercise stronger executive leadership in reforming the budgeting process to align with the medium-term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025. I hereby call on the Attorney General and Minister for Justice to seek constitutional interpretation of the National Assembly's power to insert capital projects without executive approval. Anti-corruption agencies such as the EFCC and the ICPC are hereby called upon to investigate this insertion. I also appeal to the citizens, the media, civil society, and development partners to demand accountability and reform, stressing that the 2025 budget must serve Nigerians' interests rather than those of privileged few. I shall go to Rabbi again.
So the CEO of budgets, Seun Oluyede, was invited to join the government as the head of one agency, or was it PA or special advisor to the president?
Turned it down some years
He
ago.
turned it down. I think it was President Buhari, if I'm right.
Yeah.
He turned it down. And I touched on, the
Co-founder, actually, co-founder.
I touched on the 2025 budget in my case and citing particularly the National Assembly's insertions, right? And mentioned that these insertions are not even about the people. Being the agency or the institution of government that has the oversight function against what the executive is doing, they can say, no, this is not important this year. We don't have money. We'll do it next year.
Yeah.
Let's put in more money into funding education. Or there was a large flooding in, for instance, say Anambra State last year. Let's put in a bit of this money that you are going to use to do this into flood management or palliative. They have the oversight function and can do that. However, in Nigeria, we, the National Assembly, they overuse such powers to profit themselves. It was President Obasanjo who started the constituency project thing. They claim because he wanted a third term, and so he was putting monies into the hands directly of the National Assembly members. They also claim that these monies do not actually go to them directly. They're supposed to just come and recommend, okay, you know what your constituents want. You are their representative. What should we do in your locality? So should it be a borehole or a road or, local electrification, whatever it is that your constituent needs. However, when they start to impute and insert, funny projects, the agency that is supposed to handle electrification, for instance, they say, oh, go and handle flooding. You know that it's not about the projects to benefit the people. It's about kickbacks. Unfortunately, we saw how former governor, we call him Gandolas, now the APC chair, right, was pocketing monies, from kickback when he was governor. And the allegations were that he said when he was deputy governor, he didn't see anything. So now that he's governor, this is time to chop. Nigeria's democracy is so warped. It is about the people in government and their families and their people and loyalists. When they even say they're doing constituency projects, I'll tell you for a fact, and this is not guesswork. I was general secretary of my estate association. They would, the party, if a party in power or whichever party, right? You have to go and lobby that rather than go to Ikeja, I beg come to Okwebi, come and give us street lights, come and so they use it for political favors. I did street lights for you when I was in the National Assembly. Now I'm going to be governor. Come and vote for me. You will find quite a number of these representatives. They will put their names on constituency projects funded by federal government. Pause. You see Femi Gbajabiamila hostel in University of Lagos. You see Femi Gbajabiamila street light, solar lamps. You see Femi Gbajabiamila hospital. If he will do any of them from his pocket, it will be something very minute. The majority of it is from constituency projects. They will now use it to campaign. You will see northerners, they will buy motorcycle or wheelbarrow. There was somebody who was buying motorcycle tire for his constituents. Not motorcycle, don't worry, you will get the motorcycle eventually, but hold on to this tire for now. You know, and say that he is doing them good. Now, the solution is for us to be more involved. When budget started, right, a lot of us used to read their analysis of the budget every year and then say, oh no, this is wrong. I think now the citizens are tired because you make all of that noise. I was listening to you calling on President Bola to do what? When you talk about the age of a president, it's not just because you want to say old age is bad. There's nothing wrong with old age. It's just that what a 40 or 50-year-old president can do in terms of being available and playing that oversight function
swiftness
for the National Executive Council, right? When you are in your late 60s and late 70s, right? There's just so much because you are old, you're tired, most times you are sleeping. See, the president went to Rome. Is he back?
He's back.
Now he's back, we thank God. But he will normally not come back immediately. His plane always flies over France first because, again, he's old. Now look at this national embarrassment of a budget. Year after year, and in my case, I was asking, all the projects in 2024, did it benefit any of you? I'm just so tired of saying the same things over and over. But Nigerians have to keep on getting involved. The more of us that are saying the same things, a few of them that can be embarrassed will eventually become embarrassed because this is an embarrassment.
Yeah, as for calling the president, the law enforcement agencies, and other bodies with various and diverse responsibilities, it's important for it to be on record.
That we call them out.
Yes, that you call them to this situation. Let it be that they failed to carry out their usual function to do. So we're not going to go and call people from outside the country.
We won't call the Chadian president.
Or call the insurgents.
Or call World Bank or Africa Development Bank.
Respective authority to do what they have to do.
Okay.
Yeah, but the thing with this consensus project is that it's a bribe. You're inserting a criminal activity into the budget. It should be condemned outrightly because, you see, we have constituency projects in other countries.
But this one is not even constituency project.
No, that's what I'm going to. You have it in other countries where lawmakers lobby to bring projects to their constituencies. Now, it's the executive that handles it and funds it. I saw one like that in 2001 in Maryland in USA, the National Archives and Records Administration, At the entrance, to the lobby, you will see a plaque, you will see the picture of the congressman who attracted that facility to Maryland, and then something about him, his bio. Then, in Nigeria, you find out that in the budget, you see that these lawmakers, they present bills, they debate bills, build for this school, build for this university, build for this road, build for this. Now, you now still give them money again after they have debated the bill for transformers to be supplied to so and so place. There was one this morning in my hometown's group. You know, the rep from my area, his people, his publicists on the group, dropped his latest. Because every day they bamboozle us with, they bombard us with the things he's doing. So they now listed 5 bills that he had presented. Out of the 5 bills, 3, establishment of School of Nursing, establishment of School of Vocational Studies, establishment of one other thing, all in his hometown. He said, what kind of a thing is this? And then the next thing, somebody said, but somebody from our town was there for 10 years.
Yeah, they did
Another one was there for how many years? What did they do? You know, when an argument has entered that lane in Nigeria,
Give it up.
it's difficult to sustain anything. Somebody even called me. I would say, yes, it serves our town right. When we're always fighting. I said, how do we turn this around? Because I was saying, I said our town union should write a letter to the rep that you cannot raise 5 bills and then
Everything is concentrated.
everything is just in your town. So we need to remove that constituency project because
You should know that it's representing a district.
That is it.
Not his town.
Even our senator is missing in action. Victor Ome. Don't even know that we have a senator.
Okay, Victor Ome from your...
Anambra
He
Senator
likes politics so much. He might not be around.
is missing in action. Now, 6 trillion out of a budget where you are borrowing 13 trillion. So what we're doing is that we're borrowing to satisfy the egos of members of the National Assembly. And those projects have been inflated. Look at the amount for boreholes and all that. So you
And the
just find
projects don't have address.
no address, no value, nothing.
Only Oji River, just Oji River.
The one Victor made it in my town, one pavilion. A windstorm scattered the whole thing, threw everything. And then the people who gave him, the other one, Obina Chidoka, did that in the House of Reps. It's a borehole.
Sir, you
Everything
remember
is
Governor Hope Uzodinma invited President Buhari to come and...
a gutter. I learned that Buhari was disappointed.
When he got there and realized his gutter, he came to commission.
I'm speaking
Not
about
even a special drainage.
and speaking about commissioning projects that don't matter. I think it's very important that we let our audience in the diaspora understand what we're talking about here, how complex this issue is. Convert 6.9 trillion naira, the dollars. You have at an exchange rate of 1.5, we're looking at $5.4 billion.
Jesus.
$5.4 billion. Now, let us even, cascade some of these things to understand how dizzying this amount is. The Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, in 2010 was built with 1.5 billion. The London Crossrail Road, which is an expansion of the railway in London that about between 10 to 15 million people use every year, was built with $5 billion. In Qatar, they just ended the World Cup. The city of Lasalle, the whole city was revamped, constructed, road, railway, stadium with $5 billion.
And we...
5.2 billion is what we're talking about here. Sometimes when we, when we speak naira, it looks like we're talking about 6,000 naira or something. We're talking about $5.4 billion. That is enough to build a city and turn it around.
How
That's what
much
we're
did
talking about
Dangote use to build
Only few people.
Dangote refinery? 20
billion.
billion. Now, if you just use a fraction of this 6.9 trillion, right, to just electrify or expand transmission, because we generate about 12,000 megawatts, but we can only transmit, which is federal government in the middle.
How much will it cost you to
5,000.
take down this
The old grid.
all the old grids and put
President Buhari even signed into law that we can do small grids. Nobody is thinking
Or let one
electrification.
state government, let
the
one
Attorney
state
General
government
has not
say,
come out with a legal
let
framework
one state
on
government say that, look, we are no longer using national grid. We are setting up our
own mini grid.
comprising, gas, thermal, solar.
Hey,
But you know what the problem is? This government is scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Yes.
The reason Tinubu signed it is because they are working together in criminal concerts
hey, whoa.
to make sure that they depossess the Nigerian citizens of their birthright. That is why the president will ignore any caution letter from anywhere and just sign it.
The last thing I
Because-
said, the person who protested said he didn't know mathematics.
Yes, because at the end of the day, we saw what happened when the president declared state of emergency. How that even when the National Assembly have not even sat to determine the fate of it, they have sworn the man in. That is to say that this is a done deal. We are doing this thing together.
I
Scratch
say
my
our
back,
democracy
I scratch your back.
is a
So
dictatorship.
at the end of the day, the citizens are the worst hit.
Very true.
It will always remain like that until something change from
Until we hold them more accountable.
somewhere. So, what does justice look like in a system that has forgotten our people? Don't go anywhere, as Juror Olajumoke Alaode James will be here to present her case titled A Better Nigeria. Do stay with us.
Thanks for still being here. And we are the jurors on the Middlemen. My case is titled A Better Nigeria. I saw a video of how a 14-year-old student was shot on his way to his WAEC exams in Oyo State. His father, who was driving on one way, refused to stop when accosted by Oyo State Road Traffic Management Authority, OITMA, personnel and police officers. He hit many vehicles, covered, and was shot at while escaping. When finally chased down, his son, whom he was allegedly driving to his exams, which may be the reason he stubbornly refused to be arrested, had been hit by the bullet. The consequence of driving on one way in Oyo State is an arrest and a fine, not a death sentence. People blamed him for not stopping. Others blamed the police for using brutal force for a traffic offense. I was just screaming, why is no one taking that boy to the hospital? Where are the first responders? What of first aid? Rather than leaving him on the ground and wailing over him. In the video, though bleeding, the boy was still alive. His father chose to drag the policemen. The OITMA personnel were looking for who shot the bullet, obviously trying to pass blame. The emphasis was not on saving the victim. I heard the boy died. You know, I have zoomed out of Nigeria in the last 2 years. My body's here, yes, but my mind isn't. I don't want my heart to keep breaking, so I am protecting my mental health. However, this is how Nigeria got to where it is today. Good people abandon politics for thugs and miscreants, and we expect them to possess honor, dignity, compassion, and even competence. No matter how much you dress up a pig, it will end up in the pigsty. I mean, explain to me why the National Assembly is trying to punish people who do not vote during elections. Yet, the candidates who steal and kill to perpetuate themselves in power during the same elections against the will of the electorates, which is the obvious reason for voter empathy, are working free and in leadership. How is the National Assembly inserting 11,122 projects worth 6.9 trillion naira in the 2025 federal government budget, and citizens haven't asked the assembly to be shut down? We know most of those projects are self-serving for the political elite, not the citizens. Tell me which projects in the 2024 budget affected you positively. Are 200 million of us afraid of 20,000 politicians? Is Nigeria happening to Nigeria? Here's my verdict. Each citizen may feel powerless and voiceless, so we only criticize on social media. Yes, that's the first step. But that noise only embarrasses leaders who have shame. Our political elites are shameless. If citizens like Evans Ofeli and Alex Onya didn't take action, sue the government, ministries, departments, and agencies involved, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board (JAMB) would not have folded and repeated the exams for affected students in the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Exams (UTME) debacle. That's an example of how citizens' class actions can work. Yes, jointly condemn corruption and mismanagement on social media. I know we don't trust the judiciary so much, but we must continue to test our courts by filing lawsuits also. Don't forget, we must commend and encourage them when they do right, but we cannot leave governors to misfits and keep complaining. Let's join the political parties in our wards and local governments so we can be the change we want to see from within. Most importantly, our leaders didn't fall from the sky. A lot of us are like them, conditioned to steal and be utterly irresponsible when we're in power. We just haven't been given the opportunities to show ourselves. So if you want to see a better Nigeria, you have to be a better Nigerian.
Yeah, I want to respond first. Your case is multifaceted.
Yes.
Yes, and that because of the burden we bear as a country. I want to respond first to the Ibadan case of the young boy that lost his life, and to say that this calls for serious scrutiny. In fact, everybody should be prosecuted.
Ewo.
Yes. For those who were there when the boy was dragged out of the car and was bleeding and was still alive,
Very much alive.
why didn't they take the boy to the hospital before they come back to fight whoever shot?
They chose to
whoever
fight
shot?
first.
Our priority is always misplaced in this country.
Jesus
A little
Christ.
boy with so much potential of that magnitude, could not his country disappointed him at the pool of his blood. The country could not
No
rescue
first
nobody,
responder, no first aid.
no first aid, nothing. And,
Oh,
and
God.
that boy had to die that way.
And
Okay.
he was alive throughout that video.
Now, our policemen, because there's a lot going on in the policing sector in the country, and that is first to say that there's no policeman out there that is out there to protect lives and properties any longer. Every policeman you see out there is there to serve his stomach, to make money, to collect or to big, and that is very disconcerting. That we allow our policemen to shoot. I mean, we had argued sometime that why do they even have to carry AK-47 in the first place?
For
We are not in a war.
traffic offense.
We're not in a war situation. So the government's contributing negligence on this is that you give these people AK-47
for
to use
self-defense.
to enforce.
It's supposed to be for
No, we're not at
self-defense.
war. We're not at war.
No, if they are trying to catch armed robbers,
What kind of self-defense?
if they are trying to catch armed robbers
At
and
what
the armed
time?
robber shoots at him,
Which armed robbers?
You don't wait for the armed robbers to come.
Which
to the
armed
road.
robbers?
You prevent them from even leaving their homes to the street.
Let me
That
just
is policy.
conclude my thoughts, and I want to take it back to parenting. We have parents that are highly responsible in this country. I mean, if you have to even take one way, why must you take one way with your children? What are you teaching them? Assume we're not considering there were no deaths. There were no deaths. There were nothing.
Thank you.
What are you teaching that child
Thank
that's
you.
going to write the exam
They were
that you can take one way? No.
they were late.
Even if you are late, it's wrong. It's against the law. You understand? You have to abide by, whether you are late or not, you have to abide by the law. Yeah. That's what it is.
True.
So if you see a traffic light, if you see the red sign, you have to wait there. There's nothing like you skip because you want to. For those who argue that the man killed the son, I disagree. I blame the man wholesomely for his irresponsibility and his act of negligence, taking the laws into his hands. But I do not think that wrongdoing of taking one way, I do not think shooting into the car is commensurate. In law, when we talk about self-defense, if somebody carries a spoon and he wants to hit you with a spoon, and you go and carry AK-47 or hammer, what the person is holding is not commensurate to what you are going to do the self-defense. So it's not self-defense, it's premeditated murder, whatever it is as outcome.
Juror Emeka believes that the man killed his son, right?
No, I don't believe so.
I'm looking at it.
But I wanted him to respond to the angle of that. At the point where he now stopped the vehicle and they brought down the boy bleeding and left him on the floor, rather than saying
he left the boy.
Crash my son, he left the boy on the floor, sir.
No.
I was now dragging the policeman.
Do you know what hurt me the most? That is why, like Apostle Paul said in the Bible, he said, all things are lawful, but not all things are expedient. He repeated, all things are lawful, but I will not be brought under the power of any. When you are behind the steering wheel, don't let that vehicle bring you under his power. Instead, you should control the vehicle. Because if you look at the whole scene, the policeman that shot had no reason to shoot.
Yes.
He had no, because he said he was aiming at the tires. That was a very stupid calculation, because this is a vehicle going. For you to aim at the tires, you would bend or something, but he just fired. So that is the stupid policing we have in this country that has continued, to embarrass this nation. Two, the man who was running, you know what hurt me the most of that? He eventually stopped. Something made him stop.
He wanted to catch them.
Why not?
He wanted to catch them for killing his son that
why not rush it
to the hospital?
So that thing, I'm not even going there. That thing that made you
not to stop in the first
that thing that made you, so something could make you to stop.
Yeah.
Why didn't you allow yourself to stop? You were coming out of the street. He said he just pumped his tire at a tire repairer, and then you knew it was wrong to go
one way.
What? And that is one problem you find.
Don't take
Lagos.
one way, please.
You find in Lagos. You ask people from here to the nearest turning may not take you more than at the most 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And then you go your way. Now, going one way, you're endangering your family, you're endangering your life, and you know what? Under the law, you don't even have a right to take your life.
Ewo.
You don't have a right to expose yourself to danger.
Very true.
So that is why you ought to have, when the people, because I just wonder, I said, what was all this? When you are stopped, you should have stopped. And just come out of the vehicle. Sorry, I was rushing my children. My children are running late for the exam, please.
How much is it fine, sir?
With some, please, even they may not even find
with the children in the car, they were allowing him go.
Yes, because of the children,
they were allowing him go.
There was no need for him to be hit.
See the way he was damaging the car, just hitting,
you can
everybody.
Imagine. Now, the typical Nigerian attitude, if this policeman had not shot his son, maybe when he gets somewhere, he say, don't mind them. The wife brought their vehicle. Trust Nigerians and the way we
to go and brag about it.
Yeah. So the thing is this: there was a Nigerian some years ago in the US. He was sentenced to how many years in prison because he drove so recklessly. He said he was rushing his daughter to school. I think there was an accident. The daughter died.
Oh God!
So he did even in the court. He had to be restrained because
manslaughter.
He was just demonstrating some theatrics, shouting. His daughter said, "Where are you?" Just behaving as if something had come over him. But he eventually calmed down, and then the court sentenced him. So I don't know if it's something that has to do with us as Nigerians.
Is it a mental health issue?
But it's not just here. We even exhibit it abroad. Nigerians going abroad to go and engage in court fights. Was that not why they banned Nigerians under 30 from coming to Dubai?
Yes.
From going to UAE when they were fighting in Sharjah on the street.
Cultism.
On the street with axes and all that. Even in France, I learned that recently, not long ago, some cult guys engaged in a fight in France. So we just export some of these crude behaviors abroad. You can imagine what is going on here. We need to really, we need to control.
To be better Nigerian.
Yes. You just capped it. Let's be better Nigerian. Because somebody was saying something yesterday that reminded me about the book written by Barrister. That, after Italy, that one Italian prime minister said, we have built Italy. Now let us build Italians. We built Nigeria.
Let us
like Barrister said in his book, we have tribesmen, but we don't have citizens. So that task of building Nigerians is what we need to do so that we can have a better Nigeria. When people say God bless Nigeria, ask them, what do you mean? Is it that Nigeria is suffering the deficit of blessing? That we need God help Nigerians, because Nigerians are the ones destroying Nigeria.
True.
Very, very true. You see, everything that happened, if you take a closer look at the viral video, were very lamentable. At the same time, very avoidable, both on the side of the parent of that young boy and officials also. road rage, when you look at it from a psychological angle, the man I would love to believe was suffering from low emotional regulation, where someone is no longer in control. The impulsive nature of a person has overcome him, that he cannot control himself any longer. I went down to take a look at his history, and I found out that he said the wife had left him over 7 years.
Oh.
Yes, so he has been taking care of the family.
And I heard it was a twin, the
Yes.
one that died.
Yes, exactly.
Died in
So-
the presence of the second.
So the pressure with the man, taking care of the family, because he said, according to him, he has promised himself that despite the fact that the wife left them, that he was going to take care of his family as much as he could. But at the same time, that wasn't enough excuse for him to go on road raging and all of that, because everything
Driving
that
against traffic.
Anything
was
can
just
happen.
clearly-
Driving
That's
against
that's one thing people don't realize. Anything can happen. That policeman, you can even jail him, even sentence him to death, but
His boy will never
life-
come back.
His boy will never come back.
boy-
So that is why people must be careful.
That is why he should not have been dragging police first. He should have gotten that boy to the hospital first. That's my pain in all
Yeah.
of this.
Is it responsible for you to have your child
Your child has been
jail,
shot.
and then you are
And
fighting police?
he's unconscious. You have dragging police. The boy wasn't dead at this point.
Something like this could have happened in 1998 when I was traveling one time from Lagos to Benin. We were in a bus, just somewhere after Okada, we saw a barricade of armed robbers in front, not knowing that one of them was hiding by the median, on the other side. So we told our driver, turn quick. As he was turning, one of the drivers said, stop there. So he tried to fire the driver. But because the driver had turned his hand, the bullets smashed the window behind the driver, grazed the driver's back, and passed through the arm of the passenger in the middle, then dropped on the dashboard. So when we turned around, we passed a police checkpoint. When we even passed the we said, "Nah, property." They said, where?
They're running the opposite
We
direction.
ran away. So the interesting thing, people, hey, the man was saying, I'm dying, I'm dying. I had to down. Thank God my parents were nurses. I had to not tell them. I said, okay, shut up. I said, just shut up, keep quiet, don't say anything. Hold the place, just shut up, don't say anything. That this is an emergency. Just keep quiet, driver, keep going. So until we now got to a police station, and then I looked at the wound. I said, okay, quickly I went in, introduced myself as a journalist, and then we got a police report, then rushed the man to the hospital. As I got there, I now used, my media and all of that, and the man was admitted and immediately given first aid, and it was okay. Later went home.
Imagine
Now-
somebody with bullets wound. You have to go to police station first.
Yes, then you will have to collect a police report.
That's it. Even
Right,
life,
gone
even accident, auto accident, now you have to go to police station.
But why is it?
Why is it not the other way?
It's a
It's
stupid,
Why not
not
change
why
the
I say,
person?
why save the life
Save
first?
the life first?
it's a stupid way of being. Yeah, that's it, part of the responsibility we are talking about.
Hey God, oh.
You need to make a report to the police.
Pretty much like criminalizing not voting during election.
Exactly.
But the people who are killing people during elections to perpetuate themselves in power, those ones, they are the ones who are the leaders.
Those ones are clowns.
So that tells you that
The Nigeria not happening
how do we get a better Nigeria?
by being better Nigerians. And that's not how this conversation should end. We want to hear from you in our comment section. We will take a quick break, and when we return, Juror Henry Igwebike will be here to present his case titled Nigerian Senators and the Alarming Absence of Empathy. Just stay with us, we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Middlemen of Jurors. Now let's dive into our next case. My case. Nigerian Senators and the Alarming Absence of Empathy. In a democracy, lawmakers are expected to be the voice of the people, their protectors, advocates, and conscience. But in Nigeria, the Senate too often resembles an exclusive club detached from the daily suffering of ordinary citizens. A classical example is Senator Onyekachi Nwa Ebonyi, representing Ebonyi North Central and serving as Deputy chief whip in the Nigerian Senate, who has recently been associated with the contentious issue of demolition in the Federal Capital Territory FCT, particularly in communities near the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, a case where he justified the demolition because he wasn't loving the aesthetics of the village from a bird's eye view. While millions face crushing poverty, insecurity, poor healthcare, and a failing educational system, many Nigerian senators are preoccupied with self-serving agendas, luxury SUVs, bloated allowances, and political power games. Debates on critical national issues are frequently reduced to partisan bickering or outright silence. When communities are displaced, youth are unemployed, and victims of violence cry for justice, the Senate's response is often muted, delayed, or superficial. My verdict: the glaring absence of empathy is not just a leadership failure, it is a betrayal. The Nigerian people deserve lawmakers who legislate with heart, who prioritize public welfare over personal gain. Until then, the gap between the Senate chamber and the streets will only grow wider.
One boy,
One boy, yes.
like Juror Emeka, we call him, has been, I mean, if this is his first time at the National
Being a
Assembly,
nuisance.
if a 43-year-old is in his 40s, his nuisance value is less than zero. He has just been a ridicule of what leadership ought to be, right? I imagine that the Ebonyi people, you know, would have assumed that as a young person, he will be forward-looking, he'll be proficient in, you know, youth and drive to see a difference in terms of coming with new ideas. Rather, he's looking at the village from his bird eye view. What a nuisance. And we are the ones who say the youth are not too young to run. I mean, what's that?
Not too young.
Not too young to run.
I
He
mean,
doesn't even look young.
When you look at his village,
uh,
have you seen the photographs of his village?
yes,
You even see thatched houses.
it should start from his village.
I don't understand.
You understand?
It's bird's eye
Let
view.
him go and
So we'll
call it-
start from a boy.
Yes, let him go and know it, because what he's trying to say, and I like the way the Senate president handled it,
Very well.
at least for the first time. Senate president told him, that's people's village you are talking about. So because we want you to look good when you are flying into Abuja, we should go and ransack people's village and dispossess them. He would have even ended this thing by saying, Mr. President, let us make a law or come up with a bill to compel government to fund them, build houses for them, free of charge, so that the view coming into Abuja from that axis will look, let that be, let them become beneficiaries of proximity to a national asset. That is how to communicate.
Yeah, but
Then you will have respect. But I say they should go and chase them away. So that
but how many of such villages will you destroy? Because I've flown through many airports in Nigeria.
how many will you destroy?
Is it Kano when you are landing?
Ewo.
You will even enjoy the rustic.
Yeah, that is rustic thing that we will need.
Yeah,
That view.
gothic
Yes.
yeah.
There are, you know, different airports in that you will enjoy as you are landing. You will enjoy even Muritala Mohammed Airport. That means you will demolish the whole of. In fact, all
Ikeja,
the whole of Ikeja.
Agege,
Look at all the
Akuyegba,
everything. Yeah,
His focus was even Abuja. It was not even taking on what.
all the other airports.
even the Abuja.
He just want to be talking.
When you are landing,
say.
you are looking at
I
Zuma.
see
You are looking at
Zuma
Zuma Rock. When you are landing, you are looking at Zuma Rock. You know, you are imagining all kinds of, you know, different kinds of. So not talk of when you travel abroad. When you travel abroad, as you are landing, you see all their, you know, you see the city, you see the way they are arranged like boxes. You know, like boxes.
Many of these places when you won't travel, apart from maybe New York and London Heathrow and all that, you don't even see good houses. London Heathrow is at the outskirts.
Yeah.
Bush everywhere, swamp for everywhere. There's no high rise around.
It's like Uyo.
There's no high rise around. I mean, from the airport, from Heathrow.
So you can't have high rise close to airports anyway.
No.
Because of
He
height
was
of plane.
advocating that, you know, was advocating that you need to see the kind of building that will,
You
know,
see his
talking
mindset.
about
That's not where you are going to now.
You see his mindset.
That's not where you are
You
going
can't
to.
build high-rise close to any airport.
That's not where you are
Because the
going.
truth
Because
of the
of
matter is that
accidents.
even before airports are sited, they are done in the most
Rural-
Outskirts.
You know that
Development
Yes,
that
encroaches.
God bless
The
you.
Murtala Mohammed International Airport we have today
was in the bush.
was in the bush
built
back
in
in
the
the day.
bush.
You
And
understand?
then
It was
remember how
development
you
that met
had
it.
to drive 1 hour from Abuja airport to get to town.
Exactly.
Outskirts. So all those people that were poor, they now started living off the road on both sides before they expanded the road.
He didn't even see the cattle, oh. He didn't see the herdsmen. He didn't see the herdsmen that are usually on the right when you're coming out of the airport. On the right,
Look.
they have a kind of a settlement.
I like the way the proposal was thrown out immediately. It didn't
It was so embarrassing.
up to 5 minutes.
It
was thrown
so
out. It was
embarrassing.
voted out outrightly. Like, you
so
can't do that.
This one boy, whoever his master is, not
He
changing.
must
Yeah,
be trying
and
now.
that speaks of the larger lack of empathy in the Senate.
Yeah.
This is just one. The budget pardon is another one.
Very true.
Then a bill to criminalize apathy, voter apathy, is another one. You have a set of persons in this country who say they are lawmakers.
And they are very detached.
They are detached completely. They forget that they are representing a district, a senatorial district. A senatorial district is an average of 4 or 5 local governments, 3 local governments, 3, 4 local governments, depending on the state.
The states, yeah.
You understand? And these 3, 4 local governments, you could have as many people as in their thousands.
Wait, so Lagos State
Okay.
has 20 local governments and we have 3 districts. So pretty much like 9 to 10.
Sorry,
depending on the state.
9 to 10.
9 to 10.
9 to 10,
local
depending on the
governments.
state.
But I'm truly addressing what you're saying. My senator, she used to be former deputy governor of
Idia,
Lagos State.
Adebule.
Look, if you didn't mention her name now, I didn't remember it. When Senator Yayi was representing me, I used to shout that one, Senator Yayi.
No, but at least
We are not seeing
no,
you.
it's not Desmond Elliot that's representing you.
We
This
thanking God, thanking God
This
that I'm not at the front.
senator Yai that was representing was not even from Lagos State.
It's not wrong.
Yes, not to Ogun State now because he wants to run for governor. But at the time he was representing me, I could at least, because he will come with grinding pepper grinder.
Phones and everything.
And,
No, it's also accessible.
Yes, very well.
It's
so
accessible.
when I called him out, his aides replied me immediately.
Is it borrowing?
That's
What I call it borrowing.
that. And did you see when he wanted to do election for Senate? We had not seen the kind of 4D banners that he used before. His own, if he was a wild boy also, his own master taught him well. But
One boy.
wild boy,
It's only for the house
his
of
own master taught him well because the quality of the, I already knew this one has money. The quality of the banners and posters. But they responded to me and said, that he does the empowerment. I said, I stay in Ikeja. I've never seen his empowerment. And then they now came to show me how he empowers his loyalists.
Yeah.
People in their political party, in their ward,
Yeah.
and local governments are the ones they give. What's the name of this small boss now?
Korope.
Korope
Shuttle.
and keke something and grinding machine too. Not we the citizens.
Very true,
Again,
because at
pushing
office-
their political agenda.
Very true. True. Because at his office near Adeni Jones, you usually you see his loyalists come around and they share gifts and all of that. So,
Well,
it's
So it's the political party
That also
members.
shows these people travel abroad. These people travel abroad. They see how the congressmen in the US, they see how the members of the UK House of Commons, how they relate with the people. I mean, you can imagine, see what...
Again, sir, terrible example. Because House of Commons and House of Lords, the Commons are commoners now.
No, but the House of Lords is the elite.
Eh,
And they are unelected.
and they stay there for life, pass it
For
to their
life,
children.
yes.
So terrible
No, but
example,
the
sir.
British monarchy is not elected now.
But
monarchy.
the House of Lords, they pass it on to their children like saying our monarchy. It's so terrible example.
Baba, no,
Forgive me,
Baba
sir.
Sokwe, Baba Sokwe.
No, Baba Sokwe now, House of Lords.
But generally, the difference is that these guys at the House of Lords and the House of Commons, they are people driven. Their policies about
Yeah.
You see, whether it's,
Say House
see,
of Commons, I will agree.
no, hold on.
Even the House of Lords.
Even the House of Lords.
Go and
I'm telling you,
check.
You see, even the fact that it's all about the society,
Yeah.
and you can even assess them.
I
You can even go to them and say this.
I
And
agree.
and everything is on merit. There's this Nigerian guy that became a mayor, not to from Akwa Ibom.
Yes.
Last week,
Yeah,
a week
just
before,
last
a
Saturday,
week
In fact, there
before.
are two of them.
Yes, you go there and you do it on merit. There's no tribal. There's no you are not from here. There's no whether you are. So if we
This
want
tribal
to,
thing that you talk with Juror,
Yeah.
it touches my heart, gone.
It is.
Because
No,
we discussed
no.
it 2 weeks ago.
No, you know,
And Kemi bad enough. We call her bad,
Kemi bad mouth.
bad enough.
it's not even going to win anything. It's
She has
not,
lost now.
the rescue Britain party.
No, but I'm saying what I wanted to mention is we aspire to become prime minister in other people's countries. But in our own states, this, I want to use the very negative term in my mouth, is MF, right? They will now pass law and say we criminalize you for not voting. But those who want to go and vote will say, this one looks Igbo. Even if it's Yoruba, you cannot come and vote because they are the lords of their house of lords.
They told Rosvival that the mother is Igbo. That Yoruba guy that was to contest Badebo. That the mother
that there should be a law that the House of Assembly should pass a law that anybody running for governor of Lagos
stop him.
must know how to speak Yoruba.
Meanwhile, we want to become mayor in London, prime minister, go to House of Commons, and
No, it's
go
a
to
lack
America.
it's a palpable lack of self-awareness. You know, that's the problem with many people who go to politics in Nigeria. They lack self-awareness. So they just go in there, but there is no program. They don't even have anything that they can say.
Nothing.
This is what in the US Congress, 2001, I interviewed a congressman, and then I just, asked questions, and I learned that there are congressmen who sleep in their offices.
Yes.
Because they know that their district's accommodation is expensive. And then they don't want a situation where one poor man is coming to see his congressman and then he's coming to an opulent structure. So it's better, let me stay in the office, let me sleep in the office so that my people can easily come
And assess me.
and assess me. And if not for the September 11 attacks, it was so easy. You could enter, the Congress houses very easily. You want to go and see your senator or your
allow you to go and see him.
You can even online, just send him an email. You will just go straight. You have access.
Nigeria's
And it's so easy.
My friend in Dublin, a lawyer friend of mine, were driving one day, and he said that we should see the prime minister. We were coming back from his office. He just remembered, I said I will show the prime minister.
Attend on.
This is this.
No, Dublin.
Let's
Okay,
just
Dublin.
Dublin. Let's just see the prime minister. I said, who? He said, prime minister. I said, we don't have the appointment. He said, no, we don't need the appointment.
Eh?
That was how he drove in. I went to see the prime minister. He welcomed us and told us that we should hold on, that he's about to finish with someone inside, that the wife should give us tea.
Ewo.
And they gave us tea. We're waiting. I was cold. That is the prime minister, like the prime minister of Ireland. Yes.
Nigeria left the WhatsApp group.
It was.
Tell me that I cannot sit in Tinubu. Talk less of me.
It was not premeditated. We just thought of it on the road. And we were with him. So,
somebody said,
a long way to go.
a friend of mine said one time he went to Washington, D.C., that they met the governor, and they were now, discussing with him. And they asked, you are in D.C. The White House is just in D.C. That, how many times have you been to the White House? He said, I've been here 7 years. I've never been to the White House. I said, how come? He said, I have no business there now. What am I going there to do? I have my business in my office. I go to my office. What am I going to the White House to do? That's a governor who had been there for 7 years. So that tells you that, honestly, whether it's in the Senate...
Honestly, democracy works for them. It's not working for us here.
But I don't think democracy can work here.
Democracy is not working for us here.
I don't think it can work.
I think we should insist on it because that's the best form. That
you want to force a round peg into a square?
No, the problem is the character of people we allow to go there. Because don't forget, in the Second Republic, We had a senator, David Dafinone, who refused to take salary, who refused to take allowances. It was accessible. We had reputable senators, even in the First Republic. Amadu Bello, who was premier of the Northern region, used to drive in an open sedan. There was a story that one time he saw one man who was stranded by the road, and he told the man to enter his sedan and took the man and said, okay, you are going my way. And he dropped him. What about Muritala Mohammed? Why was he killed? Because he didn't have a convoy and all of that.
I was going to ask that. Is that not why Muritala Mohammed was killed anyway?
Yeah, but
so they have learned from experience.
Like Barrister will say, let the police be there to guard everybody. Let's not have all these convoys and all that.
Very true. I agree.
Very true. It's still the middlemen of jurors. And when we come back, Juror Emeka Madunagu will be here to present his case titled CBN, Time to Cut Interest Rates. Right after this break, please do not go anywhere.
Thanks for still being there. This is the middlemen of jurors. My case. CBN, time to cut interest rates. The front pages of major newspapers on Thursday were dominated by complaints from the organized private sector against the Central Bank of Nigeria's retention of the monetary policy rate at 27.5%. Expectedly, entrepreneurs and influential business groups classified as the organized private sector have asked CBN to work towards reducing the MPR. The MPR is the benchmark interest rate at which the CBN lends money to commercial banks. Essentially, the MPR is a key tool the CBN uses to manage the economy, influencing interest rates and the overall cost of borrowing. The OPS argues that these rates are detrimental to private sector development, especially for MSMEs, and are making it difficult for businesses to access affordable financing. This way, it has made it difficult for businesses to expand, innovate, or even meet basic operational costs. They highlight the importance of affordable financing for MSMEs, which are considered the engine of job creation and productivity in Nigeria. The high interest rates are squeezing these businesses and limiting their ability to grow and compete. Ordinarily, the MPR is hiked to control inflation. However, its retention, despite its being unable to tame inflation, currently put at 23.7% year-on-year for April 2025. This is a slight decrease from the previous month's rate of 24.23% as reported by the Central Bank of Nigeria. Businesses depend on credit to run efficiently and sell off inventories and take care of overheads such as salaries. But the OPS argues that retaining the MPR at 27.5% is not in tandem with the touted reforms of President Bola Tinubu as well as his Nigeria First policy. They have urged the CBN to provide a roadmap for the future easing of interest rates to help businesses with long-term planning and to signal a cautious approach to easing interest rates based on sustained economic improvements. My verdict. It is sad to note how borrowing has become so difficult for businesses which depend on credit to thrive. Only government is able to borrow and pay at exorbitant interest rates fixed by banks. Fintechs even charge as much as 120% per annum compounded interest rate. The loan default rate in Nigeria right now is quite high. The banks are being squeezed badly and it's telling on the economy. The CBN must draw up a roadmap for easing interest rates to enable the economy to breathe and allow businesses to do better. The current climate of insecurity, poor power supply, high numbers of unsold goods, multiple taxation are issues that should be dealt with urgently by the Tinubu administration.
Very well. Interest rates go a long way to determine the economic viability of a country. Transactions will not go well if the banks are not lending. And when the CBN comes up to talk about regulation, there's a way the CBN will press the commercial banks. The commercial banks will stop. They will not even be giving again. They will just tell you they have no money to, because sometimes what the CBN fixes is not what the commercial banks give. It's not the rate, because the commercial banks are looking at their own revenue, repayment plan, percentage or interest rate that will keep them in business.
Yes.
While also looking at CBN regulations. Now, if the CBN say give a single digit, you as a borrower, is it borrower or lender now?
Yes, a borrower.
A borrower cannot go and compel a commercial bank or maybe go to court to get an order that they must give you loan. You cannot do that. So you have to play, while you are looking at the CBN's regulation, you have to play by the commercial bank's rules.
Yes.
Because the CBN is not giving them the money. In fact, the CBN is holding their money. Their recapitalization, their all whatsoever, regulating them. So at the end of the day, you find out that, so for ease of doing business, part of the ease of doing business we're talking about is that the government should put a pool fund in this with the banks. If the government want to help to ease the ease of doing business, government should contribute to it. Because I know that in civilized countries, government contribute to it. It's just unfortunate that it's only in Nigeria where the government says the banks should surrender all funds belonging to those who are dead, those who are unclaimed funds, funds that have stayed
Dividends.
unclaimed dividends and all that the bank should bring it, borrow it, but the government want to have. The government is supposed to support the banks, put a pool of fund on this thing, so that this thing will trickle down to SMEs, small and medium scale businesses will be able to access. Because at the interest rate today, you know what it is. I used to take loan. Sometimes I'll take a loan of 5 million. And by the time I pay through 6 months, by the time I calculate everything, I would have done 7 million plus for 5 million. Because anytime I ask for it, if I ask for it now, I'll get the credit before I finish the show, immediately. But when you start to pay back, you'll not be paying 1 million plus every month. For the next 6 months. When you check everything cumulatively, you are paid 7 million plus, which is high.
Very high.
It's high. So at the end of the day, you are saying you are reducing ease of doing business to CAC registration. It will come out in 2 weeks. As if that is the ease of doing business. Yes, when certificate comes out, you're not going to meet the bank for loan. Then the bank will start to give you interest rate that is not, that you cannot.
Even the fintech is worse.
Maintain.
Now 5 million, you end up paying 11.5 million.
A lot of them, when you look at the nano lending, this Palm Pay, for want of not calling brand, they didn't pay us for this show. So many Nigerians are owing them. Okay.
That's why they loan default rate.
Yes, the default is high because the interest rate is very high too. Interest rate is playing a role.
Because the banks borrow from CBN. These fintechs also borrow from the banks.
From the commercial banks.
So at the end of the day, the lending, minimum 27.5%. The banks will add management fee, add all those things. Then you are coming to about 35% from the banks. That won't even lend you money. Unless you have a special relationship with them. Then when those fintechs now borrow from them, you are going to 50%. So because of the loan default, they've now devised a way of saying, okay, fine, if they lend money to maybe 10 people and 6 don't pay, we can make our money back from 4. Which is what I was lecturing one of them today.
Okay, then they are not making room for
to a buffer to protect themselves.
Yes.
Because if you look at the interest rate, 10% compounded per month, that's 120% in a year.
No, but eventually they still make their money because the same loan is insured. The fintech insure those loans.
Yes, but but the rate that they charge people is too high. So it is those who borrow and pay that are now carrying the burden of those who
refuse to pay. And you know in Abuja now, they used to put the names on billboards.
Eh.
Yes. Even in Benin. They will put your name and your picture on billboard on the expressway.
But somebody who is poor enough to borrow and not to return. Again, if you are online a lot, these loan sharks, they're supposed to be loan apps. They are throwing all the loans at you.
No, they are calling you to come
and you are the one owing them.
Yes.
You must take loans.
They don't let me sleep. Oh.
You must take
They
loans.
are asking you to come and take.
So now, when you now borrow it to eat, you know, it's a different thing when you're borrowing to do business.
Yes,
you make profits and you pay back.
borrow
When
to
you borrow it to eat, because they have thrown you, I take 10,000, take 50,000, and then they now go and put your picture on billboard.
They even call your relatives.
So what?
And
To say that the person is dead.
He has died. Why are you
They say
asking?
the person has a sickness.
Why are you asking me to
No,
pay
but
that?
those they will actually, those they put their picture, they know that there are people who will be embarrassed, not the ones that have given up on existence. The ones that will really be embarrassed, they know from their record.
So
This one will be
what I heard
embarrassed.
of these loan apps is that while they operated in China, you know, like the Yorubas will say, run to your money, don't disgrace your family, remember the house from which you're from. You know, that this embarrassment, the Chinese do not want it.
They don't want.
So by the time they start calling your family members, sending SMS that Jumoke Olajumoke James is a thief, or she collected 50,000, she did not pay back. Most people, in trying to prevent that, will go and find any means of
They
paying back
send
the
it.
loan.
They send it to your employer.
Not in Nigeria.
They send your employer.
Some people on
Employer
Facebook,
that is not paying you enough
some
for me
people
to go and be
on
taking loan.
people on social media.
No, but your employer will not call you now. They start to verify. Why are you dragging the
Some
number?
people on social media.
It's the name of your company in the loan app.
I was ready.
You feel where you work now.
I was ready.
Is a
What you are feeling, you feel.
Sir, I say these people, all you need, just download the app. Put in your BVN.
You put your name,
account number.
your-
They don't ask you for address.
If you collect a loan with the name of a company, that is a commercial loan.
I said they don't even ask you for your address because they believe that your BVN has your bio data. Just your BVN, and that's for
And you know what they do?
You know withdraw.
You know what they do? Like one person can can set up like 5 loan apps. So once you do business with one, your details are shared to the other. So they'll keep
Yes,
calling
man,
you
that's
left
it.
and right, calling you morning, afternoon, night. You'll be wondering. I mean,
Once they have your BVN, they have you actually. Even to
They have
collect,
everything. Yeah.
even to apply for visas and all of those things become difficult.
They have.
You know.
Yeah, they have everything.
But all of that's going to put faces on billboards for what? For someone who's
No, but there are some people like
that thing is working for them because people come to pay back. Yes. Go and remove my name from there. Have your money here. Go and remove my.
I've seen some people on social media who said I'm owing so and I will not pay. Come and kill me.
Now I've seen people.
Those ones have given up.
There's one minion. I will not call it the political party. People already have an idea. Who he's owing loan up 500,000 naira. He says his fish pond business is not doing well, and that he uses 20,000 naira data per month. Me, I just loaded 20,000 naira data. Now you know they take me 1 month. Data is so expensive in Nigeria now. And then you that your 20,000 naira data that you have taken from your 500,000 naira loan is to come on social media to come and spread bigotry. I said what is doing him is not spiritual problem.
Now, Jumoke, I think as much as we dwell on the domestic consequences of the things that we all face here, loan apps and defaulters and so on, let's equally talk about third influencers and some of these things. While I was going through doing a little bit of research on his case, I stumbled on the 2024 Article 4 consultation of the IMF, where it talked about that it lauded what CBN had done to increase about 400 basis points to about 29.7%. That was actually what the IMF told them to make our interest rate to be. But of course, yes, but they reduced it to what we have today, which is 27.5%. Right? So if we take a look at some of these things, you know, most of these things that we talk about, loan apps and all of that, there are people who are pulling the strings somewhere. The IMF, the World Bank,
The puppet master.
you understand? They are there pulling the strings and all of that. And I think we should equally look at that side of the divide. Because
So
people
let's
can
compare.
hold them.
This your example,
Yes.
right? Williams Ruto of Kenya that is a puppet to the IMF and World Bank and doing everything that they ask him to do. Meanwhile, he was a populist leader.
But
He
not
was
doing
their
well.
Peter Obi. Hold on, I'm getting at something. He was their Peter Obi. They voted him in. All the Gen Z say, you know, en masse. He's our own, he's our own. So when he started increasing taxes, they were still, well, he's our Peter Obi. We leave him, let him do what he wants to do. Then he removed fuel subsidy again. The puppet masters pulling the strings. Removed all the subsidies there are. They didn't eye him too badly until they realized, hold on, no, this taxes is increasing the price of bread. You people are still driving luxury cars and building 21 billion Kenyan dollars and stealing money, right? So the people turned on him and went on protest on the street. Now counter that with our Burkina babe, Ibrahim Traore, who first of all say, colonialists out, your troops out, your media out, no more propaganda. They will say, oh, he's stifling press freedom as a dictator and all of that. But he's now saying Africa does not need IMF, World Bank or anything loan because before now, France will sell Burkina Faso's gold and declare $20 billion a year. Traore, in 2 years, is selling the same gold because now they're refining their gold themselves and declaring over 100 billion.
But Jumoke, let me bust a bubble here. You know, they recently signed a treaty with Russia for excavation of their gold.
Yeah.
Now it's still the same thing.
Oh,
all they take home now is still 5%.
I agree.
Yes.
75% goes to Russia.
Jumping from fry pan to fire.
All goes to Burkina Faso.
No, goes to Russia.
To Russia.
Yes, jumping from fry pan to fire. I agree on this
It's still
one.
the same thing.
But they don't have the technical capacity.
Of course.
But the person with the technical capacity, if you're asking for 50%, hold on, sir. If you're asking for 50%, it may even be fair that I'm bringing the expertise. How can you be asking for 75?
No. Take note of something. Where is the one they are taking? Where is it domiciled? It's domiciled in Burkina Faso. Not like in France, where the money plus 75% plus
the gold
in France.
Where their central bank was even in France. True, sha.
It's part of the problem.
That's the policy of assimilation.
It's part of the problem.
The whole of French colonies, all their funds are domiciled in France.
In France.
That's why people are asking the question. Why do we even need foreign reserves in Nigeria? Why does Africa need foreign reserves? Because look at it. You make money on account. Then you now domicile with some banks abroad.
Swiss.
Why don't you domicile that money
central bank.
in the central bank, or say, okay, these banks, that okay, you will give so and so amount to this bank, you give so and so amount in their foreign account.
If you now have one,
No, you have that foreign reserve. Sometimes that foreign reserve is security for the loan
that you are paid to take.
you only assess. You need to have
And
something.
we have plenty loans.
But you know, the US doesn't take loans based on
They are a superpower.
they raise bonds. But smaller
They are a
countries.
superpower.
But smaller countries
They are a
raise
superpower.
bonds
But you see, this example you are
through
giving,
their banks.
this example you are giving, one, we do not produce most of our consumption, and you need for forex for purchasing.
Yes.
So it's better if you're selling your crude in foreign exchange to keep it like that, so that we need to buy raw materials, we need this, we need that.
Yeah, you need
the
foreign
currency for the exchange is domiciled over there. Secondly, if you can have a military leader, they say I should stop talking about Abacha like I do in my head. Like Abacha, who used to just open our vaults like it was personal ATM and collect all the money.
As long as
domicile all our foreign reserves in Nigeria.
As long as your
one useless leader, we just siphon everything.
As long as your country is dependent on other country,
You need foreign reserves.
because America is not dependent on any country.
They are not printing
Not
the
even
dollar about
Chinese.
spending.
Not even Chinese.
They don't exchange
Or China.
they don't exchange their dollars for any real resources.
They don't.
They just print.
No, but do you know what?
They will say no. You cannot just print the naira. You must have exchanged. You must have sold crude oil, and then is the
size of our economy
is the counterpart of your foreign reserve that you will now print in terms of naira. You know, if you just go and print naira without selling anything,
the size of our economy.
Inflation.
No, but you know, the size of our economy cannot warrant what they do in the US. The size of their economy
It's enough for them to just be printing dollars
Yeah, it can
every day.
accommodate what they are doing. But the size of our economy cannot handle the kind of things we want to undertake.
Yeah.
You understand? So we will always exchange for value.
Very true.
We cannot just be printing.
Their economy, their economy will even buy excess farm produce and throw away.
Buhari did the ways that
not just ways and means. What about these forward sales? It's good that I'm happy that
all this forward sales. That's the reason you need your reserve.
But the forward sales was not even. We don't even have.
They are not self-sufficient.
We don't even have oil for forward sales anymore.
Very true. To the extent
because our production has gone down to 1.5.
We are not telling Dangote that we don't even have crude for him. They were nearly going to stop the crude for Naira thing. But again, when you have former presidents who the current, their successors can legally tell us that you have done wrong, why don't we start to criminalize them, arrest them, tell them to account?
Because it is well, maybe on another session we'll discuss.
The Council of State is a cartel.
We'll discuss that.
It's another cabal.
There is
senior cabal.
Maybe we'll discuss that next week.
Yeah, because in South Africa we saw how their former president is being prosecuted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So but that hasn't happened here. But once you try, they will raise ethnic card. That,
very true.
You can't do that and all that.
And that's a wrap on today's session of the Middlemen of Jurors. We've laid the cases bare, challenged the comfortable and spoken